Rob.
Morning, Rob.
How are you? Are you okay?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. You?
Yeah, good, good.
Good.
Needless to say, no Gareth Bale. What are your thoughts? And how serious is the injury, Rob?
Yeah, well, you grade hamstring injuries from 1 to 4, and his is nearer the 4, so it's quite a significant hamstring tear. We've been in contact with him and our medical department, so we're in close contact with him to see how it's developing and how he's progressing with it. So this camp has come too soon for him, unfortunately, so he's not going to make this camp. Originally, it might have been even, progressing to November's camp. That's the significance of the injury. But thankfully, he's recovering better than what we've anticipated, so we might have a chance then for November.
So is it still touch and go for November, would you say?
No, we're pretty certain now that he'll be okay for that. But like I said, with any injury, Rob, you can plan as much as you want, but you can never guarantee it. But yeah, we're pretty certain we'll have him for November. But it's, like I said, it's quite a significant tear.
How much of a blow is it to you?
Well, of course, he's been first class for Wales over the years, hasn't he? And he's a great player. And when you've got players like that in your squad, you want them involved every camp. And he has been in the main. And unfortunately, whether it was to do with the travelling in September's camp, and he had a build-up of fatigue in his muscles, and he's gone back and had a soft tissue injury. It's a blow. It's a blow for myself. It's a blow for the supporters. Of course it is. But it gives other people an opportunity now to step up to the plate and show us what they can do.
But there's no real like-for-like replacement for a Gareth Bale, is there?
No, and that's not being disrespectful to the other players. We all know our worth as coaches, managers, players especially, and Gareth Bale is a very special player, and of course he'll be missed. But we can't cry about it. We just got to get on with it, and like I said, we try to look at in a positive frame of mind and fully focus on 2 tough games coming up. But yeah, he showed his worth in the last camp especially. I thought he was another level, and to get his hat-trick and the plaudits that went with that, he thoroughly deserved that.
On the plus side, Aaron Ramsey appears to be fit again. Are you confident he'll be there this time?
Yeah, I've had contact with Aaron, and there's things put in place like we had before the Euros that will suit his needs to come in to get him in the best possible shape that he can be in, like he was for the Euros. And I've been in contact with him, and the medical team have been in contact with him again. And like we said, all right, we've got another week to go, but yeah, we're all confident that he'll be turning up on Sunday for us.
When players pull out, and he's had a bit of a track record with it, some fans do question his sort of commitment. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I understand their frustration because they're like me. They want the best players for Wales turning up every camp. Looking back in the summer, he had a long summer. It's the first time he'd played 3 games back to back in probably 12 months, Rob. So, when you look at all aspects of it and everything involved in it, he put a right shift in, and then he went back and done a full pre-season by all accounts with Juventus and not had a tremendous amount of time off, enough time to recover. So people like Gareth who are at peak condition, finely tuned, they are prone to picking up little injuries every now and again. And unfortunately, the week before we were due to meet up, he felt it early on in the game and wanted to carry on with it, and inevitably made it worse, unfortunately. So we missed him because of that. But yeah, he's managing his body better now, and I think you have to, when you get to a certain age in football, playing at that level, you have to manage your body, and he's learning to do that, to adapt to it, working with other personnel and other staff that he's employing himself, and I think you're seeing the best of him, and we want him involved every camp.
Sorba Thomas, first call up for him?
Yeah, I've been made aware of Sorba in the recent months, and obviously we've done our research and due diligence, and had a look at him, and I've been to watch him personally myself a couple of times, and he's thoroughly deservedly got a call up.
What is it about him? What does he bring to the squad? And it's been quite a rise for him from the likes of Boreham Wood.
Well, I think first and foremost you've got to look at him as a character. I don't know that I've not spoke to him yet. I will do today at some stage, but you've got to look at what he didn't go to plan for him as a young lad. He's at West Ham's academy, and he got released, and he went non-league, and he wasn't afraid then to drop down a couple of levels to go again. and I think he deserves an enormous amount of credit for that. You know, to go to Boreham Wood and have 4 or 5 seasons there and play really well, and then Huddersfield, you know, take him and he dipped in and out of the Championship the back end of last season, but has absolutely hit the ground running this season, and I've been to see him a couple of times and really impressed. Last month or the month before, he got Player of the Month in the Championship, so he's making a name for himself, and it'd be nice now to work with him and have a look at him closely.
Last couple for me, Rob. Connor Roberts back for the first time. He hasn't yet played for Burnley. What is his fitness, do you know?
Yeah, I spoke with Connor last week, so he's not played for the first team, but that was always part of the plan, you know, he's had quite a considerable injury, but to throw him into a competitive Premiership game like that with the position that Burnley find themselves in would be a big ask, you know. So I think I know he's played a half of a 23s game. He's due to play another full game now coming into camp. So he's fit enough to play 90 minutes, albeit it's not against, you know, a top standard with that intensity, but he's got through 90 minutes of football.
Undoubtedly, these are huge games now. The Czech Republic, how much more pressure is there to get something there, given the result against Estonia?
Yeah, I was as frustrated as anybody else against Estonia. You know, we'd done everything other than score, and I think if we'd have scored after 45 seconds, we'd have gone on to win the game comfortably. We just didn't get that goal early on. That I said I asked them to come out of the traps fast. We did. We just didn't get that sort of first goal, and I think at this level against teams like that, you have to be clinical, and that's the only criticism I'll have of them, of not being clinical and finishing teams off. So going into this game now, because of that result, it's probably looking at 3 points, you know, but second place is achievable, Rob, and that's what we're aiming for, and we'll be going out now to get maximum points in the 2 games.
All the best, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers.
Rob, Gareth?
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Gareth.
With Gareth's submission, how does that practically affect the way that you'd set up a side?
Well, I mean, we look at each game, you know, on its own anyway. So, of course, Gareth's the best player, and inevitably he's going to play whatever formation we play. So we'll plan that through the week. We'll work on it. Okay, we haven't got Gareth for this camp, but you know, we've got now Sober coming into the squad. We've got Brooksy that's proven himself at Premiership level, international level. You know, we've got Tyler playing in the Premiership. Rubin doing really, really well for Cardiff, coming on against Forest and scoring a great goal. And great to have Kiefer back involved. So we've got an abundance now of players around there that can fill the position that Gareth plays. Will it be to his ability and the quality with what he got? Well, that's subjective then, isn't it? Because there's not many Gareth Bales in the world, but it does give other players opportunity then to step up and stake a claim for the jersey.
One of the things I suppose that you haven't had to do in a while is the psychological effect of having Gareth Bale on the pitch. You know, literally, if he's only got half a leg working, psychologically the opponent is intimidated by that. How do you prepare the side, I suppose, again, practically but also mentally, that the opponents are probably going to have a little bit less of a fear factor because Gareth Bale isn't on the pitch?
Yeah, Gareth steps out and Alan Ramsey steps in, so they've sort of evened itself up a little bit. You know, we've got quality on there, and like I said, having Kiefer back available is massive for us. That was another frustrating point for me, Gareth, if I'm being honest. You know, for the last camp, because of COVID, we didn't have Kiefer. In my opinion, we have Kiefer, we win the game. But you know, there's no guarantees with that, but you want your best players available, and like I said, he falls into that category. So to have him back on the team sheet or in the squad, opposition will be looking at that and knowing he's a threat.
Actually, you brought up nicely something I wanted to ask you about with COVID. It was sort of the 11th hour when you got those calls about Adam Davis and the close contact with Kiefer Moore. Wales have kind of led a bit of a trailblaze when it comes to international squads, that you've been free of COVID. You've made, we all know, those of us that are close to the camp, the efforts you've gone to. What can you do to make sure that, say, come next Wednesday or something, or 24 hours or 12 hours before you fly to Prague, is that you haven't got another COVID outbreak? Because you're not necessarily in charge of the players who are at clubs. We know COVID is sadly, the numbers are rising. But what can you do to maybe ward against another Kiefer and Adam situation happening for this camp?
I think just go back to the standards we set throughout the summer with regards to COVID and the protocols. If we relax them slightly in September's camp, it's come to bite us on the backside. So we've got to get back to that. We can't control what they do at club level, absolutely, but when they walk through the doors at the Vale on camp, then we can take charge of that. And it's about getting back to those standards that we met through the summer and eradicating all risk.
Is it, we spoke during the last camp, you were hopeful you could, maybe still challenge Belgium for that top spot. In the previous answer you gave to Rob there, you'd be quite honest to say it's second spot. With these two games now, what do you have to do to put yourself to be in a position come the November internationals that you are in a position to challenge for second spot? What has to happen in these two away games?
Because of the point against Estonia, not the 3 points that we set out to get and wanted, then it's looking like a win against the Czech Republic. So it's 2 wins in the next 2 camps. Like I said, really frustrated for the last game. We done everything but score. We created more chances in that game than we've ever done in any other game. Probably more chances than the week before against Belarus, and we won the game, and we scored 3 goals. So on another day we could have scored 4 goals. But we're looking to get maximum points. I think even at the start of the campaign, Gareth, when you look at the group, when you've got the world's #1 team in your group, sometimes you look at #2 spot anyway. But being in the industry that we're in and being brought up as I have been and as the players have been, you never accept second spot. You want top spot. So that's why we've always said we'll compete with anybody and we want to finish top, absolutely. As the results have gone for us, then we have to be a bit more realistic in our approach. And until it's mathematically impossible, we'll keep going for the top spot. But we'll have to look at things now as long, along the way as well, and maybe adjust it. And if it's second spot, it's second spot.
Final question for me, Rob. Just when it comes to Aaron, just picking up on again a follow up to Rob's question earlier about Aaron.
Yeah.
How, if he gets you in one piece now on Sunday night, what realistically capacity can he use here? Can he do 290 minutes, or do you have to manage his time on the pitch as well? What is your hope expectation?
Well, again, I think he surprised us in the summer. He surprised a lot of people in the summer with how robust he's become, and that's whether he's changed his approach to his training through the week, he's managing his body, and like I said earlier, when you get to a certain age, you have to manage your training through the week, your training loads and your body and your recovery especially, and I think he's learned to do that. So we'll have a look at him on camp, but for me, the two games are not a problem.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers, Gareth. Thanks.
Shauna David.
Morning, Rob.
Hi, Shauna.
I'll start off with Sober Thomas, if that's all right, because it's a great
Yeah.
story. I think he's become a bit of a cult hero on social media because he's very passionate about Wales. You said you haven't spoken with him yet, but what would you be saying to him when you do chat?
Well, welcome to the group. Just have that first contact, and I've watched him play a few times now and been really impressed. He's shown great attitude, like I've just alluded to there in previous interview, that he's been released from West Ham, and as any young boy would be devastated by being released from a Premiership club, but he showed great character to go and play non-league football and bounce back again, and he's, so first and foremost you can see that he's got a great attitude and a great outlook, to keep himself positive. He's deserved his move. He dipped in and out of the Championship at Huddersfield the back end of last season. He's hit the ground running this season, and I've seen him 2 or 3 times and been really impressed. So it'll just be a brief conversation to welcome him to the group, and like I said, and tell him not to just turn up and make the numbers up, but just to make a name for himself.
Was there kind of a particular moment where you thought, right, he's earned his place? Because there's been a lot of talk about him over the last few months. I'm wondering, was there sort of a sliding doors moment when you wanted him in this squad?
Going into the 2 games, I want 2 wins. So to do that, I want attack-minded players around us, creative players that, if anything, I can be a little bit critical of the last game, was we needed that little bit of creativity at the top of the pitch. And at this level, you have to be ruthless. And when you get chances, you have to finish them. Having seen Sober a few times now, I think he has got that little bit of creativity as well. So that's a positive for him to come into the group. Gareth's absence, obviously we've got quality and depth, like Brooksy's played in a Premiership and a top level and shown his worth. So to have those players competing for that position as well now behind Gareth is only going to benefit us. And like I said, he's definitely earned his opportunity to come and join us.
There was something he put up on Instagram, sort of went viral. He wasn't impressed with FIFA that they put the England flag on his FIFA card, and he crossed it out and put the Welsh flag there as well. So he's obviously a very passionate character.
Well, there you go then, yeah. Yeah, obviously.
And just on Bale, obviously frustrating. In terms of Real Madrid, do you feel like there's been enough communication between the FAW and Madrid with regards to Bale's fitness?
Yeah, absolutely. Got no qualms with that at all. I'm in constant contact with our medical team and Sean, and he's in contact with Gareth. You know, I think one thing Gareth's shown over the years is absolute commitment to the cause for Welsh football, and with all the travelling that he had to do again in September, with the games that he played, I had a conversation with him at half-time against Estonia. You know, we got him through the game, and that's credit to him as well to stay on for the time that he did. And you know, he had a lot of fatigue in his legs, so going back then to his club, it's obviously caught up with him, you know, and we've got to look into that with the travelling, the amount of travelling that these players are doing, and the games and the pressure that's put on their bodies. And so, you know, with regards to his commitment, absolutely, it's been brilliant. And the communication between both clubs for me has been okay.
No Bale, but Ramsey's coming back in. Realistically, how much game time do you see Ramsey getting over these next 2 games, Rob?
Yeah, I think he's become more robust. So I think, all right, he's picked up a knock and he's gradually gone back into it, and he's dipped in and out of games and not played 90 minutes. But I think he's shown throughout the summer that he's capable of doing that now, off the back of not playing many minutes, and we had to build him up slowly to play that first game. So the week's training might be adapted to his needs, but with regards to the games, I'll be fully expecting him for one to want to play in both games, and we'll absolutely encourage that, because you want your best players out there.
There's been a bit of a theme, you know, since you've come in, that a lot of the players aren't getting regular game time for their clubs, and I think the defence at the moment really stands out. I think we were all wondering how Joe Rodon can get into that Spurs defence in the game against Arsenal. You know, how much of a concern is that for you, if it's a concern at all?
Well, it's a concern because we don't want to. I mean, now is the first camp that we haven't got the friendly game. Previous camps, for the exact reason that you've just mentioned, lads not playing domestic football, we've had to use that first friendly, and we did throughout the summer, the build up to the Euros, that we had to use those first couple of friendlies to get players minutes, to get them up to fitness, to go into that tournament. And that's a frustrating thing for us. We're not really having our best players. I've used Joe as an example before. The best player for Swansea, rightly so, gets a move to a top club, and then they've got to manage him when they're there. So if he's not playing minutes, can they get him out on loan to play game? Because that's how we benefit from that. It's all right going to these top clubs, but we want our players playing. I think he went on against Palace with Ben Davies. They both played in that game. So I went last week to watch him against Chelsea. I was frustrated as him because he didn't get any minutes, didn't start. That's down to the club, you know, but all we can do then is get them in the best condition for that week's training that we can, ready to go and play.
Another thing is, I guess, some people could look at the squad and think there's potentially not many goals in this squad. Like you mentioned, Kiefer Moore is back. He's a massive boost because, like, I think we all agree, you could have potentially won that game against Estonia had he been on the pitch. And
that was where I was quite annoyed and frustrated. My frustration, you know, to not have our best players available. Bale scores goals, Rambo scores goals, Kiefer Moore scores goals. You take one of them 3 away, you're taking a chunk of goals away. That was my frustration for the Estonia camp and the Belarus camp. Bale stepped up to the plate and delivered 3 goals, great hat-trick, and won us the game. Against Estonia, a big chunk of the goals were missing. Other players chip in, of course they do. But when you miss one of those 3 players, then there's goals taken out of the team. But I was pleased with the way, you know, the chances we created, and if we continue to create chances like that against even the Czech Republics of the world and the Belgians of the world, then we'll eventually, you know, we'll score goals.
2 massive games, Rob, especially that one against the Czech Republic,
yeah,
could really sort of change the way the group looks. Are you feeling any pressure at all at this moment in time?
No, it's no different to the build up to the summer. It's no different to the first camp I took over last autumn. So we're all in it because we want to win games of football. All right, these are World Cup qualifiers now and not Nations League and European qualifiers. just got a different title on it. It's a game of football that we want to win. Yeah, there's a little bit more pressure on this one because of the result against Estonia. Frustrating. I said earlier, if we score after 45 seconds, we're going to win. We're going to win 2-3-0. We didn't, so that means now the next game is really important for us. And instead of maybe going for a point, we're going to go and get the win and get maximum points from both games. Cheers, thank you.
Thanks, Sianed. And Lawrence Mora.
Hi, Rob.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how you felt after the last game and after the last camp, because it's the first time I guess you've experienced kind of almost quite a disappointment. And international football, you just don't get that chance to go again quickly, do you?
Yeah, and that's it in a nutshell. You've hit the nail on the head there. The frustration for me was during the game because we created enough chances to win. We need to be clinical. We need to be ruthless and finish teams off when they're hanging on. And you know, we just could not break them down at the end. And to get off to the start that we did, I asked to come out the traps fast. We did. We should have been 1-0 up after 45 seconds. And when you get opportunities like that, you have to score them. Frustrated them because I've watched the game back and I want to relay that back to the players. You have to wait a month to be able to do that. Then some of the players aren't, you know, part of the squad that were part of that previous squad. So it is, but you know, it's something we've got together as a staff and we've addressed, and it will be addressed on this camp. The first day we'll address it, box it off, put it to bed, and then full focus will be on the Czech Republic game.
I seem to remember going away to Ireland and Bale and Ramsey not being there in the Nations League, and so the youngsters then stepped up. They've got another couple of years on them now, so it's really up to them to kind of start making their mark on the international game now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we can't continue to call them young players now. They've been involved for a couple of years, and yeah, when they get given that opportunity, they've got to, you know, state their claim for that jersey, and have a run of games. And if they don't, then there's nobody else to blame other than themselves. If they get the opportunity to play, that's your interview. Go and give a good account of yourself.
I've been pleased to see Ethan Ampadu coming on last night, and have you been keeping in contact with him in Italy? Yeah,
I have. Yeah, they've settled him in gradually because of isolation and the training out there. I noticed he come on after the 30-odd minutes last night. So yeah, again, he's another one I'm planning to speak to today and just see how it's gone. And but yeah, pleased. I think it's a great move for him because, like I said, we spoke about Joe Roden earlier. You want your best young players out there playing games, and fair play to him for doing that.
No Ben Cabango. What's kind of thinking on that one?
Well, we've got locks, we've got James Lawrence, you know, and I like that balance of when a centre half, a left-sided centre half, to have a left foot, and you know, Ben's played well. He kept a clean sheet last week, and he's again back in the Championship and playing all right. And yeah, it's not that he'll never be back involved in the squad. It's just for this one, I've probably gone for one more attacking player than one more defender. With what's riding on the game, I want to get. The frustration for me in the Estonia game was we created enough chances, we weren't clinical, and I need that little bit of creativity further up the pitch. The two games that we got, Czech Republic and Estonia, we need that creativity again. So I'd rather go for an extra forward or a wide man, an attacking-minded player than a defender.
And then just finally for me, Dylan Levitt seems to be making his mark in Scotland.
Yeah.
You know, certainly the highlights reels that do the rounds on social media anyway. He's played particularly well against Celtic. Have you been keeping an eye and in contact with him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Dylan's, and I pulled him on the last camp, and I said he's gone to another level for me. You know, and that again is credit to him for going out and playing competitive football week in, week out. He had a tough summer because he was called back to United and had a pre-season there, and was frustrated for him because he wanted to get out and sort his career out. Fair play to him in the end. It took him a little while to get out, but he's picked the right club, the right move, and he's going to reap the rewards of that now, and ultimately then we will as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot of talent, hasn't he? You can see that sort of the way he plays forward. He's different to what we've got at the moment.
He's brave, and I'm not talking about tackling people there. He's brave, and he's not afraid to make those mistakes, and he'll get the ball again and try to play that forward pass. And one thing we want runs in behind him. We want those players able to make those forward passes, and he certainly, you know, falls into that category.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers, thank you.
Dear Lawrence and Jordan Jones.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Jordan.
Just with Ashley Williams, Gareth Bale took over the captaincy from Ashley Williams. Is there one in your squad at the moment that you're looking at as perhaps to take over for this camp as a captain, or is it more or less
Yeah, no, I've got a great leadership group. I call them the committee, and you know, even when Gareth was here on camp, there's 4 or 5 that I'll have constant meetings with, constant chats with. So I've got a great group. I've pretty much got in my head now who the captain's going to be. I'm not going to announce that now, but when you've got good lads like Guntz and Aaron and Wardy, Ben Davis, you know, I've got a good group of senior lads there that any one of them could step up to the plate and wear the armband with pride.
Just one more from me as well. Sometimes managers have injured players around the group. Of course, COVID and the 2 games being away might be difficult for you, but are you going to still try and get Gareth involved in the camp, perhaps via Zoom call, speaking to the players perhaps, because he's attended a few games before when he's been injured, and it may be good to keep him around the camp?
Well, I know he'll be in contact. He'll be FaceTiming Wayne Hennessy. I know that for a fact. So they're best mates and roomies, or used to be roomies. So yeah, no, he'll be in contact with the players because I know him as a person, and he'll definitely be in contact throughout the camp. With regards to him coming over, unfortunately, before COVID, I would have absolutely encouraged it and got into being a part of it. But with COVID, it poses more complications, and so unfortunately, won't be able to do that. But like I said, no doubt he'd be in touch with the players.
Thanks, Rob.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jordan. Megan?
Hey Rob, how are you?
Hi Megan, good thanks.
So 2 quick ones from me. One, when you say that you're gonna like talk to the players, are you a Zoom guy? Are you a phone call guy? Are you a texting guy? Like how do you like to communicate with these people?
Yeah, after the last camp, I messaged every player, and but you know, if I'm like with regards to Sorba and Ethan this afternoon, I'll give them a ring. I'll call them.
Okay. And then Brooks this summer, he mentioned he was a little bit
Hi, Brooks.
disheartened by not playing. Yeah, sorry, I keep saying I'm learning Welsh. We're getting there. But yeah, so Brooks this summer, he said like he wasn't playing that much this summer. And, you know, it's hard when a superstar plays in your position. I think those were his exact words. So is that something that you've kind of spoken to him about this camp, especially with Bale not going to be there? Like, is this sort of his time to kind of step up? Is that something you're going to talk to him about?
Yeah, of course, yeah. If he wants to have conversations with me, no problem at all. I'm there for players to offload. I get his frustration. I'd be the same. You know, if he's got an abundance of ability himself, Brooksy, and he's a great player, but he's got Gareth Bale in front of him at international level. So I absolutely understand his frustration. But what he can't do is step off the gas. He's got to you know, work even harder and just wait for his opportunity. And when he gets that, he's got to take it with both hands.
He's happy, it even shows on the pitch, you know, like the environment around that. Is Ramsey kind of the same? Because he's come to this camp, we always talk about trying to make the training around camp really good for him and that kind of thing. Is he one of those players where, you know, if you try to make him smile and all that kind of stuff, because over this summer he just looked just amazing, but he also looked a lot happier. I heard stories like he was speaking a little bit more Welsh, things like that. Is that something you guys try to do around the camp for him?
Well, it's man management, isn't it? So you know, you can't throw a blanket over all the players and treat them the same. You've got to treat them as individuals, and that's no different with Aaron and Gareth and Brooksy and you know, and all the other players that we've got in the squad. They all need a little bit of love every now and again, and every now and again a rocket. So it's knowing how to deal with the players and to get the best out of them.
Cool. All right. Well, good luck. And,
Cheers.
Nice to talk to you.
Thank you. You too.
Diolch, Megan. I think we'll finish off there. Thanks, everyone.